Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is staring at a wall, not thinking, not resting, just waiting for something to happen. And it feels terrible. You know this feeling. You've had it 1,000 times. Stuck in a waiting room, trapped in a meeting that should have been an email. Lying in bed at 2 a.m. with nothing to do and somehow hating every second of it. We call it boredom. We treat it like a minor inconvenience, a first world problem. But here's what nobody tells you. No other animal on Earth experiences boredom the way you do. Not chimps, not dolphins, not dogs staring out the window. What they experience is something fundamentally different, something older and simpler. What you experience is a uniquely human affliction. And the reason it exists changes everything we think we know about what the human brain was actually built for. Let's start with what boredom actually is, because most people have it wrong. Boredom isn't the absence of stimulation. If it were, sitting quietly in a peaceful room would feel the same as being bored. It doesn't. You can be completely understimulated and feel perfectly content. You can be in the middle of a busy city and feel profoundly, desperately bored. In 2012, psychologist John Eastwood and colleagues at York University published what became one of the most cited papers in boredom research. Their conclusion was precise and unsettling. Boredom is not a lack of stimulation. It's a failure to engage. More specifically, it's what happens when your brain wants to direct its attention towards something meaningful and can't find anything that qualifies. That word, meaningful, is the key. And it's the thing that separates humans from every other species on the planet. A dog left alone in a house will whine, pace, chew furniture. Researchers call this separation distress. It looks like boredom. It isn't. The dog is responding to the absence of its pack. It's a social alarm, a survival signal. Remove the trigger and the behavior stops. What a dog cannot do is sit in a room full of other dogs, well-fed, safe, surrounded by company, and feel a creeping dissatisfaction because none of it feels worth their time. That requires something the dog doesn't have. It requires a sense of what your time is for. Here's where it gets strange. Neuroscientist James Dankert at the University of Waterloo has spent over a decade studying boredom in the brain. What he found is that boredom is not a passive state. When you're bored, your brain is not switching off. It's working harder. Brain scans of bored subjects show intense activity in the default mode network, the part of your brain that activates when you're planning the future, imagining alternatives, evaluating your own life. When you're bored, your brain is essentially running a search. It's scanning for something worth doing, something that matches your sense of purpose, your goals, your identity. And when it can't find a match, it generates that unmistakable, restless, itching, almost painful signal we recognize as boredom. Your brain is not malfunctioning when you're bored. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. The question is, why was it designed to do this at all? The answer goes back roughly 2 million years. Early Homo sapiens, and even our pre-sapiens ancestors, faced a problem no other animal had to solve quite the same way. We were physically weak, slow, no claws, no venom, no armor. We survived by being smarter, by planning ahead, by imagining futures that didn't exist yet and working backward to make them real. That requires a brain that is never fully satisfied with the present. A brain that is always asking, is this the best use of my time? Is there something better I should be doing? Is there a threat I'm not seeing, an opportunity I'm missing, a problem I haven't solved yet? Evolutionary psychologists argue that boredom is the feeling that engine produces when it has no problem to solve. It's not a bug. It's the idle state of humanity's most powerful survival mechanism. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Boredom may be one of the most consequential forces in human history. Think about it. Every technological leap, every piece of art, every civilization ever built started with a human who was dissatisfied with the way things were. Not suffering, not starving, just bored. Historian and philosopher Bertrand Russell wrote in 1930 that the capacity to endure boredom is essential to a happy life. But he also noted that boredom has been one of the great driving forces of human progress. Kings built empires partly out of boredom. Philosophers developed entire systems of thought. Artists invented new forms. The restless search for meaning that boredom forces on us has been, for most of human history, a generative force. But something changed. In the last 100 years, and especially the last 20, we built an escape hatch. The smartphone didn't just give us entertainment. It gave us an on-demand solution to the idle brain problem. Every moment of potential boredom now has an immediate exit. A scroll, a video, a notification. And neuroscientists are starting to understand what this costs us. Dankert's research found that people who are chronically unable to sit with boredom, who escape it immediately every time it appears, show measurably reduced ability to self-regulate, set goals, and find long-term meaning in their lives. Because boredom, as uncomfortable as it is, serves a function. It's the signal that forces you to ask the question your brain most needs you to answer. What do I actually want? When you never let yourself be bored, when you fill every gap with content, you never have to face that question. And without the question, there's no search. And without the search, there's no answer. You stay in motion without going anywhere. There's one more layer to this. Psychologist Sanda Dolkos at the University of Illinois found that people who score high on what researchers call boredom proneness, who feel boredom more intensely than average, also tend to have a more active imagination, stronger creative drive, and a more restless need to find purpose. The people most tortured by boredom are often the people most driven to do something about the world. Because that's what boredom is, underneath everything. It's your brain refusing to accept that this is all there is. It's a signal that you were built for something and you haven't found it yet. Every other animal settles. Humans can't. And that inability, that persistent, maddening, deeply human refusal to be satisfied with the present, is the reason you're watching this video on a device that would have looked like magic to every single one of your ancestors. We didn't build civilization because we were hungry. We built it because we were bored. And some part of us always will be.